Okay.
I'm going to talk first and then I'll give it to you guys.
So we're just missing Nancy?
I assume it's
Nancy.
I gotta tell you, I like the mural.
I'm
but
okay.
This is better.
Okay, I'm all good.
It's up to you. But
Yeah. I'm good.
I only
She
sort
doesn't-
of feel like there's something wrong.
Isn't this nice?
She doesn't come
The
up.
baller meetings are here.
I thought she'd be here.
It's gorgeous until it gets cold.
Last year, we all had coats on. It was freezing.
It was really cold.
Yeah.
On. We're going to get started in just a moment. We're waiting for 2 council members to join us. We'll give them a minute, and then we'll get started.
Everybody remembers.
It was October 1.
All right, we have gotten word that Councilmember Yang is running a little late, so we have 6 council members and we will get started here today. I will call the St. Paul City Council Budget Committee meeting to order. Folks, if we could get people to, I know that there's a tendency for groups to kind of spread out here. It's a really large space, and if people could move towards the middle and get a little closer to their neighbors, it would help with our sound system and would help with being able to see folks in the crowd. Thank you for folks who are moving in a bit. All right, so we're getting started. If you let's, all right, we're gonna get started. So for people who are just walking in and folks who are showing up, we don't have the benefit of having a screen projector here today. So I'll just share that what we are intending to do today is have a brief budget presentation by our Chief Budget Officer, Holly Houston. She will walk through the mayor's budget as it has been presented to the City Council. The City Council votes on a levy limit tomorrow. We typically, well, after we set the levy limit, or what we've sometimes referred to as the high water mark, we spend the next 3 months working to find ways to change the budget, reduce the budget, shift the budget, look for things that were missed. Things happen between the time the budget was presented, was crafted and presented to us in December. So we're always kind of keeping track of any changes that have taken place as well. Years ago, we're required to have a truth and taxation hearing in December. And by the time that truth and taxation hearing comes along, it's very late in the budget season, and it's not a very impactful time for community members to weigh in on the budget because most of the negotiating and maneuvering has been done. So to respond to that, this council has begun having this council meeting in the community ahead of our budget deliberations so that we can hear from you directly before we start the budget deliberations instead of afterwards. So we are so grateful to see so many people here today, presumably to share your thoughts about the budget. It takes a lot of effort. We'd like to thank our media team and our council staff for getting this set up here today. In order to do this, when we all meet, there's an obligation that it is recorded and taped, not only to meet the legal requirements, but also so that others who are unable to attend can watch later. I will also say that one of the changes that COVID has brought that we like is that we have now created an opportunity for people to testify not only in person, but also by phone. So if there are opportunities throughout the budget season or throughout the year where you'd like to participate in a council meeting, you can do that in person or you can do it remotely. And that's a change that I think has been really beneficial. It's nice to be able to just wait on your phone and do the other things that you need to do until your time to testify comes up. So that's been a nice change. So again, thank you folks for being here. We're gonna get our presentation from Ms. Houston, and then we will open up the mic. This is a hearing, not a Q&A, not a back and forth. We're just here to listen. You may see some of us writing notes down, but this is how we'll be framing our budget conversation for the 2023 budget. So with no further ado, I will turn things over to Ms. Houston. Actually, before I do that, could we please introduce ourselves, council members? I'd like to start on this end and just share your name and the ward you represent and neighborhoods.
Thanks everyone for being here. My name is Councilmember Mitra Jalali. I represent Ward 4, which includes the neighborhoods of Hamlin Midway, a little bit of McAllister Groveland, St. Anthony Park, Merriam, and Union Park, and the western half of Como. Thanks.
Hey everyone, I'm Nelsie Yang. I'm the council member in Ward 6, which is in the east side, Prosperity Parks, Greater East Side, the Payne-Phelan neighborhood too.
Good evening. Thanks so much for being here. I'm Rebecca Naker. I represent Ward 2, which is downtown, the west side, West 7th, Summit Hill, and a little bit of Railroad Island neighborhoods.
I'm Amy Bredmone. I represent Ward 5, which includes the north end, a large chunk of the east side, Railroad Island for now, we got redistricted, and Como Park neighborhood. Tonight we are in Ward 5.
Chris Tolbert, Ward 3. I represent the neighborhoods of Highland Park, McAllister Groveland, and West 7th. Thank you everybody for being here, and thank you for hosting us on this beautiful lake.
Hello, everyone. I'm Russ Ballinger. I represent Ward 1, the heart of the city. It includes Summit University, Frogtown, part of the North End, and the Cathedral Hill area.
Welcome everybody. I am Jane Prince, Ward 7, and I represent the neighborhoods of Dayton's Bluff, Highwood Hills, Battle Creek, Eastview, Eastern Heights, and a little bit of Railroad Island.
All right, thank you for that, Ms. Houston.
Thank you. Thank you, Council President Bredmone and council members. Good evening, everyone. There we go. All right. So I'm going to walk through. There was a handout. I believe Sherry has some if you didn't get one. She has the brown shirt. So there is a handout. It's also posted online on our agenda. So first off, I'd just like to say welcome and thank you for being here today to learn more about the mayor's 2023 proposed budget. I just wanted to thank Bren and Sherry for helping me organize this event, and the Office of Financial Services. They're strong partners throughout this process to make sure we have a city budget that we can adopt at the end of December. Each year, the mayor proposes a budget to the city council, and they spend 3 months gathering feedback from residents, businesses, neighborhood organizations, and city departments. We are here now to engage the community early in this process. Your feedback today will help shape the final budget the council will adopt in December. As I mentioned, I'll give a brief outline and then turn it over to all of you to hear from you. The city budget is $781.5 million. This funds critical services that we use every day, from the streets we drive on to the parks and libraries we visit, and so much more. The city budget is divided into types of funds. That simply means that we have different ways and accounts to keep track of the spending. I like to think of it as a checking account or a savings account or maybe a vacation fund. You can see that the bar chart illustrates the city has a general fund, a special fund, and a debt fund. I like to think about the general fund like your checking account. It provides the funding, the day-to-day services that we need. If you think about it from a city budgeting process, it's really our annual operating costs. The general fund is where the revenue collected from property taxes goes. It funds 49% of this fund. The other source of funding is local government aid, franchise fees, and other fees. Total general fund budget is $362.2 million. So that's that first bar chart. Special fund spending is supported by user fees, assessments, and grants. These funds are usually restricted and can extend over the calendar year. In my mind, I like to think of it as a vacation fund or maybe a retirement fund or a college fund. So there's one intended purpose for that money that it can be used for. Total special fund budget is $369.9 million. So if you think about that, of the city's total budget, over half of those funds are in special funds. And finally, the debt fund pays for principal and interest payments on general obligation bonds. So the city issues debt to build and repair infrastructure like a rec center or a library or replacing playground equipment. The total debt budget is $49.1 million, and the budget, the taxes the city collects, supports 44% of that fund. And so just as the city begins the budgeting process each year, the city begins with a gap because our expenses automatically increase each year with inflation, contract increases, cost of living increases, and our revenue is not an automatic. So the only way the city revenue grows is through budget action, like increasing a fee or raising the amount collected through property taxes. So this year, the mayor proposed the city property tax levy to be $199.9 million. This is a 15.34% increase, or $26.9 million. The reason the amount we collect from property tax looks like it grew so much is because the street maintenance costs for sweeping, lighting, and seal coating will move to the general fund in 2023. This is a $13.5 million shift, or a 7.74% of the levy increase. These services in the past were billed or assessed and were part of that special fund that I previously mentioned. They are not a new service, just a different way to budget for them. If we turn to the bottom half, the mayor's proposed budget, this is just general fund. This shows you the new general fund spending that the mayor has proposed of $2.9 million. And the chart to the right is just general fund by department spending, general fund only. And that QR code in the top right corner, that'll get you to the mayor's proposed budget information with lots of details as well as the budget address. I'm turning the page over. So where do our property taxes go? And so every year we get a property tax bill, and included in that bill are multiple taxing jurisdictions. So when you get that total bill, about 29% of that goes back to the city. The other portion goes to the schools, the county, and other taxing jurisdictions like Housing Redevelopment Authority, Railroad Authority. And so that dollar bill is, so for each dollar that you give to the city of St. Paul, that is how it is divided up. So that's the different departments that it funds. On the bottom is very small, hard to read. Like I said, this is all available online, but this is taxes and fees on a typical home. So this shows you not only how property taxes have shifted for the average homeowner from 2022 to 2023, it also shows you the changes in other fees. So the net change in city taxes is $226 is estimated. And then we often hear, why do my property taxes change? So when we talk about the property tax levy increasing by 15.34%, we're just talking about the amount we collect in budget. It's not a 15.3% tax increase. There's a very complicated formula that's governed by state legislation on how taxes are calculated. And so your property bill can change from year to year based on different things. The market value of your property may have changed. You may have improved your house. The property of other properties might have increased. There could have been legislative changes, and then other taxing jurisdictions. So each taxing jurisdiction they propose a levy. So finally, just wrapping up here so we can get to the important stuff. Key dates. So as Council President Brenmo mentioned, the levy limit vote is tomorrow. That's the ceiling. From there, we have consistently brought that amount down, even if it's 0.5%. We've worked diligently over the past few years to make sure that we're bringing that down. Estimated property tax statements. So that will include the max levy that is set tomorrow. You'll get an estimate of what your property tax bill will look like. It doesn't mean that's your final bill. It depends what the levies are set. But that gives you a really good idea. And then we have a truth in taxation meeting where it's a public hearing and you can talk to us about that and the budget again. And then finally, right now the plan is to adopt the budget on December 7th. And there's some contact information, and then that QR code on that side will get you to the council calendar so you can see the agendas and follow along. You can watch any meetings that you're interested in. They're all recorded and posted. And so all the information and presentations from the departments is posted there. And that is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Houston. That is a lot of material in a short period of time, and I do, it's succinct and great information, so do take Holly up on the suggestion to look online if you want to learn more about the budget. I think one thing that was unusual this year and something I want to underscore is that about 7.6% of the mayor's proposed levy increase is a shift from the special fund to the general fund. I've had people in my time in office who's called me when they got their assessment bill and said, why don't you just put this on the property taxes? That's exactly what it is. They got their wish. That bill is moving over to the property tax fund. So the number that we're really looking at, that is a number that's fairly non-negotiable. The courts have ruled that we cannot separate those charges as a separate assessment, and they have to go on property tax bills. Part of the motivation for having it as a fee was to encourage churches, schools, and nonprofit organizations to participate in our street maintenance and our staff costs. And because they're not taxed, property taxes, and a judge decided we can't do that. So that shift is something that's unusual this year. So we're really looking at the remaining 7.5% when we're talking about lowering the levy limit. All right, so we're gonna shift gears and move to the public hearing portion. And again, for people who got here late, the notion today is to hear from folks early in the budget process. We have not begun deliberating. We're just getting information from the mayor's office. We want to hear what your priorities are and make sure that they're reflected in the final budget. I think that we're all going to hear today that there's a lot of wants and a lot of needs and not a lot of money to spend, and also not a lot of money available if we want to keep our levies down. You will have your 2 minutes, sir, so save it. Please save it. All right, so we're going to start the public hearing. What we'll like people to do is join us at the microphone one at a time. If you could introduce yourself, let us know where you live. You don't have to give us your street address. If you could give us your name and your address, and then you'll have a 2-minute timer to share your thoughts. I will remind you again, if you have more to share than 2 minutes, that's great. We'd love to hear it, and you can contact us by email or by phone as well. This is just 2 minutes, so we all get a chance to be heard tonight. Ms. Houston will hold up a sign to let you know when you're at about 30 seconds so that you don't go over. And just a reminder that it's not fun to close people off when they're in the middle of their passionate statements, but we want to be fair to the last people who speak as much as the people who speak in the front, so we're going to stick with 2 minutes. And again, if you've got more to say, we'd love to hear it, but just do it by email or by phone call. All right, so and Ms. Moore, our city clerk, is kind of acting like Vanna White. She would like you, after you're done testifying, to head over to the clipboard either on this side or this side, doesn't matter, and sign your name and put your actual address for the public record, and that will be put into the public record for prosperity. Posterity. So why don't we get started? Can I get a sense of how many people plan to testify so we get a feeling? Looks like maybe about 30 people, if I could eyeball that right. So that's a little over an hour with 2 minutes a person. So if we could why don't we get some volunteers to be the first person to testify, and we'll see how this system works. And again, thank you so much for being here. Come on up.
Hi, I'm Joan Heinen. I'm in Amy's district. I just have a question on the truth and taxation that we'll be getting in December. Will that include then this shift of the street sweep charges? Will that show now on our proposed property tax statement that you're mailing out in the future? I mean, that should be a real easy question to answer, yes or no. The answer is yes, it will appear on there, so we'll know that amount there then. Okay, and secondly then on the
Are you starting your testimony now?
Yes, so on the budget highlighting part of the proposed highlights, it says that Public Works increases by 52.7%. If someone could comment on what that is about.
Ma'am, I've said this in the beginning and I'll mention it again. We're here to hear your thoughts and questions, and I can certainly follow up with you directly on that. Thank you. Be sure to sign in. All right, second.
Hello, my name is Jenna McCullough. I am a Ward 5 resident and a City of St. Paul employee with AFSCME Clerical Workers 2508. As a resident, I rely on our city's roads and water. I use our amazing park systems and libraries, and I depend on the services of Fire and Hero. As an employee, I recognize that these services and essential resources depend completely on the knowledge and dedication of city staff. Highly experienced staff are essential for providing high-quality services to our community. This requires fair wages to retain skilled staff, investments in professional development, and fully addressing safety needs. For 2023, please prioritize maintaining and supporting our city workers. I urge you to be vocal about this prioritization with the mayor and especially department directors so that this vital support for workers can be solidified in this year's budget. Thank you.
My name is Jen Gerton. I am the president of the AFSCME Clerical Employees of the City of St. Paul. My question for you is, recently we had an employee at the Central Library be sexually assaulted during work hours. What investment can we expect from you into making sure that we do not get harmed when we report to work? Where is the money for that?
Hi, I'm Karen Cox, and I live in Ward 1. And after looking at this proposed budget from Mayor Carter, I'm extremely disappointed. All of us in this crowd, I'm sure, have all had to cut our budgets, but I don't see any cutting on this list at all. All I see are increases, especially in the council. $360,000 for you guys? What's the deal? And $200,000 in the mayor's office. What is that about? It's really disappointing. And you know, you want more money, put fines back on at your libraries. That's $200,000 right there. But it's just disappointing to look at this thing and not see one single cut. Everything is increased. You know, this is not a water spigot. Your citizens of St. Paul have got limits. And if you haven't noticed what the world is like, inflation is killing us. And this is going to destroy us.
Hi, my name is Joe Susher. I live in Highland Park in St. Paul. Yeah. I have one question. Is the city experiencing some good fortune that we're unaware of? We're in a pandemic, we're in inflation, we're in supply chain problems. What is justifying a 15% increase? Who in God's name is getting a 15% raise? What is justifying a 15% increase? And you talk about wants and needs. We do have wants and needs. We need fiduciary responsibility and we want fiscal responsibility. Thank you.
Hello. Minnesota has the third biggest racial wealth gap in America. There's not a lot of black people here or people who are impacted by the racial wealth gap here tonight. The City of St. Paul has been working on the St. Paul Recovery Act, which will address the racial wealth gap, and we want the City of St. Paul to fully fund the St. Paul Recovery Act. Black Americans are being hit the hardest by inflation, by high gas prices, by high food prices, and we want the City of St. Paul to address that with the budget by putting funding into the St. Paul Recovery Act for the 2023 budget. Thank you for all your great work.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Emmanuel Gomez. I'm a resident on the east side in Ward 7. And I am also a City of St. Paul employee, local laborers 363 for the St. Paul Water. And as being a resident and being an employee of the city, I love this city. I've grown up here 31 years, and now being with the city for 7 years, we keep seeing everything rise. Everything's rising. Cost of living is going up, and all our bills are going up. But yet again, we don't get the proper pay that is needed for any of us to survive out here. We are working very diligently for you guys to make this city be great, be what it needs to be for everyone that lives here. We strive to offer the best water in the city and in the state. I mean, we've won national competitions for our tasting water. I mean, we do so much for the city that no one ever, not say repays us, but appreciates all the work that we do. So by us being out there every day, putting our lives on the line due to traffic, anything like that, we just want to know that you guys appreciate the things that we are doing to make sure you guys still have your jobs on a daily basis. And if it wasn't for those of us that are residents of the city and those that do work for you guys, none of you would be in the positions you guys have currently reached. So with that, that is all I'm going to say. Thank you for your time.
Hi, my name is Courtney John. Like the mayor and our new parks director, and I'm sure some of you, I grew up in the St. Paul Rec Center as I'm a park and rec kid, and now I have the opportunity to serve as an athletic director for the parks department. So last week, you heard Director Rodriguez's budget priorities, and I just wanted to highlight a few things that he commented on, and some of you did as well. The first thing is we're offering our sports programming for free for kids, and that's phenomenal. And I think Councilmember Tolbert, you had mentioned a goal of wanting to get everybody into swimming lessons, which is phenomenal. These are great, safe programs for our kids. None of those are going to work if you don't have staff. As we continue to struggle to find volunteers, more and more rec staff have to go support our expanded sports programming, but we're already short-staffed in the centers, so we're being stretched into two ways. And then Councilmember Tolbert, you also acknowledged the disconnect between just creating the good programming versus implementing those programs safely and knowledgeably. You also heard that the public school district is now asking parks to come into their buildings, and that's because we're really good at what we do. We're the #2 park system in the country, and that's because of some of the people sitting behind you. We also carried everybody through COVID when there was no park workers to pick up sticks, or I carried a mulcher thing that was literally bigger than I am. I'm 5'2", like trying to blow off dust and do branches and stuff. It was crazy. So while I agree that the deferred maintenance and all of these other things are very, very important to the city, these buildings are going to sit empty and unused without well-trained and well-supported staff. We're already losing them to other parks departments, but now we're losing them to Target, McDonald's, and people that are just paying more for us. So basically, the kids who grow up in our rec centers come back to be well-rounded and tax-paying adults. So from the city, for the city, and we need that support in our budget. Thank you.
My name is Frank Forshwood. I live in District 5. My name is Frank. I live in District 5. I'm not here for the employees to cry about their wages. I was a city worker for 35 years. No, what are you talking about? You got your contracts to do that. So my thing is here is, I heard in the news that they want to raise taxes to give Rondo descendants $100,000 to buy a home. I'm 70 years old. Anybody who lived in Rondo neighborhood that owned a house are probably dead. Rondo took place in the late 60s and early 70s. If you're going to give them the money, what about the ones on Pleasant Avenue when you put 35 through by the hospitals, all the way down to West 7th Street, down to the river? What about all those displaced people? Shouldn't they get some money? Thanks.
Hello, my name is Ari Dolliger. I am a ASME Local 1842 member. I'm also a Ward 2 resident on the west side. I'm here. I grew up in the city just like Courtney. I was a Ward 4 member in the Midway. Went to Central High grad. Been working for the city for 8 years now. I'm here to ask you guys to invest in us, invest in what we're doing. Please keep wages raised with inflation. Please pay our frontline workers more so they can stay in St. Paul like me, like Courtney, so they can pay rent, so they can pay mortgages. We kept the city going during the pandemic. We keep the city going without a pandemic. So please invest in us. I personally love my union job. It's given me sustainability to be able to buy a house on the west side. So please keep that up, because if we don't do that, like Courtney said, we're going to lose people that grew up and love this city. I love this city. I love being a city worker, but I love being a union worker because they support us. And please keep investing in us. Yeah, thank you.
Hi, I'm Colleen. I run the Adaptive Recreation Program. It's through Parks and Recreation. A lot of people don't even realize we have an Adaptive Recreation Program, and we have so many citizens in our city who have special needs, who may have special needs down the line, who have children with special needs, who become adults at some point, and all the inclusion and all the help in schools goes away. They don't have opportunities to be with their peers again when they become adults, and our Adaptive Rec program supplies that for them. We have programs all year long. We have part-time staff that help run the program, support the staff. They're very well trained. They need support also from the whole city and the council to keep that program going, because it's a need that's continuing. Every year I see more and more people who need services in leisure and recreation, who have special needs, who have physical, cognitive special needs. Their family needs it. They need a place to go to recreate, to socialize, to stay safe, where they feel welcomed. And the St. Paul Adaptive Rec program needs to continue to provide that service, and we need that support from everybody to keep that program going too. So thank you.
Just a reminder, please introduce yourself by your name and where you live. In addition to your title, I think if you work for the city, it's good to know that, but it's good for us to know where you live as well. So reminder, welcome.
Good evening. First off, thank you guys for stepping up, doing your jobs. My name is Troy Gustafson. I'm the business agent for Teamsters Local 120. I've been the business agent for 9 years. I'm going to disagree with the brother who said that we're not here to talk about workers tonight, because that is what I'm going to spend my 2 minutes on. We're in contract negotiations right now, and our workers here, a lot of residents, have built this city, have kept this city running through the pandemic. They showed up every single day. While a lot of people could stay at home, I'm not throwing stones at those who could stay home. That's fantastic. But our people showed up. Our members showed up every single day to keep this city running. So what I would ask you, please, take a look at the budget. We're in negotiations right now. They have been tumultuous. The last session, that was a year overdue. We got a contract done last year, and we appreciate that. We have no intention of going away. We have no intention of backing down, and we hope that you, in this budget, show our members and the workers of this city that you appreciate what they've done for this city. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Jonathan Turner.
Just remember to sign in when you get done. And again, where do you live? We'd like to know that.
I grew up on the east side of St. Paul in the Payne-Phelan neighborhood for many years, and I worked for the city of St. Paul for 10 years myself. I now am the business agent for Local 49, and I represent the Tri-Council members, and I came here to speak today. We have started contract negotiations with the city, and I was really disappointed to find out it's been more than 25 years since they've done a wage and compensation study for their city employees. Most of the other public groups we represent do this every 5 or 10 years. Due to this fact, their wages have fallen so far behind market, it's hard to get employees in our departments. So I just wanted to inform you that. Thanks.
Good afternoon. My name is Cameron Mitchell. I'm a Frogtown resident, born and raised. Also a St. Paul firefighter, Local 21. Here to voice I'm here to voice my concerns about pay and staffing. The last 10 years, we've had a 64% increase in calls with only a 1.8 increase in staffing. In 2019, since 2019, we have a 15% increase in fire calls alone, not including EMS. We haven't added a fire suppression apparatus since the 1970s. We've only renamed apparatuses. We need pay that keeps up with inflation, and every single firefighter here right now is a St. Paul resident. We live, we fight for the city. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Kurt Dornfeld. I live in St. Paul on the east side. I also work for street maintenance. When I got here and started working for St. Paul, we had one engineer in our office and we had a director. Now most of them of the departments have 2 engineers. We have less people, and they made a job called operation manager that was never here before until Kathy Lantry got here. We really don't need that operational manager. You just keep on building at the top and getting rid of the people at the bottom. That's all I got.
Hello, my name is Leah Pullen. I was born and raised in St. Paul, Minnesota. My bad, I'm so sorry. But I was born and raised in Minnesota, St. Paul. I grew up in Frogtown neighborhood. I attended the after-school program at a nearby rec center as well called Shepherds before it was named Frogtown. I am a young woman who grew up in the community, also had many mentors and coaches that gave me opportunity to have my foot in the door with Right Track as well as getting acquainted to benefit from the sorry, oh my gosh, I am stuttering Sally. Okay, from labor union promotional rights. I am now a young woman who manages and serves my community at McDonough Recreation Center. My colleagues and I are passionate and enjoy our job. Due to the inflation happening, it is hard trying to keep up with the cost of living, transportation, and the food costs, which is why I think we deserve wages increase and as well as the cost of living wages increase. Thank you for your time. Okay.
Hello, my name is Katie Taylor and I'm a Frogtown resident. I'm also a volunteer with the Frogtown Park Stewards. It's a neighborhood-driven organization that helps to maintain the natural and non-farmed areas of that park in coordination with the farm and the City of St. Paul Parks and Recreation. I'm here to share my support for the CIB community proposal, Lights On, Solar Lighting in Frogtown Park and Farm. Lights in Frogtown Park and Farm have been broken since 2018. This project asks that the city not only replace these lights, but take it as an opportunity to install lights that are innovative, discourage wire theft, increase the sense of community pride and ownership in our park, and can serve as an example for sustainable lighting options throughout our city parks. We are thrilled to see that our excitement, energy, public support, and research behind our proposal was recognized by the CIB committee and Mayor Carter and shown by its inclusion in the draft city budget. I would also like to take some time to recognize the many community supporters of this project, including Frogtown Farm, Frogtown Neighborhood Association, Frogtown Green, and the community members in the audience today. And I'm going to ask them to stand up, please. Wave your hand. Thank you, thank you. Solar lighting has been successfully implemented on a national and international scale across climates and land uses, and it's a clear solution for lighting and improved safety in our special park. Thank you for your time and your continued support of Lights On, Solar Lighting at Frogtown Park and Farm.
Hi, my name is Chris. I'm a St. Anthony Park resident, and I'm the farm manager at Frogtown Farm. I'm here also to speak in support of the Lights On project. The farm in a neighborhood with limited green space is crucial to the well-being and food security of the neighborhood. This proposal was submitted by neighbors who gather every week to put labor into the farm and care for the land. I know they want to enjoy the farm and the park in the evening and to feel safe there because they understand that their well-being is intertwined with the well-being of the land that they live in. Caring for this space is a crucial component of investing in the long-term climate resiliency of the neighborhood And I understand that our relationship as a nonprofit with the city is crucial. We've seen a loss of produce, a loss of infrastructure, and an increase of harassment of our staff since the lights have gone off. And so I ask that you invest in both the green space and the neighborhood and us as an organization. Thank you so much.
Good evening. My name is Ferdinand Peters, and I live in the 4th Ward, and I believe Mitra is my council member. Hi there. I know a lot of you after many years of serving in the Marion Park Community Council, now known as Union Park, serving in the St. Anthony Park Community Council, where I bought a building from the Carpenters Union one day when they moved over to Pennsylvania Avenue. The Great Lakes Council of Carpenters, joiners, and planers, everything that they do. I now live across the High Bridge from my office. I'm an attorney. This is the only time I usually get to talk to you guys because I'm usually suing you. As a city. I love you all personally. Some of you are newer and some of you are older. I just want to bring up a few items. I do not know if you have a city attorney here today, but I strongly recommend that you always give your city attorney a chance to advise you in a way that is neutral. And when you hire outside counsel to advise you on your courses of action, don't hire Kennedy and Graven or some big law firm that usually works with the city a lot. Hire someone that will not tell you what you want to hear, but will tell you what is constitutional and right. I also have another comment. I looked at that budget proposal that Fred Malo put in the paper today. Why are you hiring carpenters in Parks and Rec? Let them stay in the unions and private side and get the prevailing wage that way. We need our carpenters for a whole bunch of private businesses. Now I know what you're doing there. Thank you. I see that timer. So let the hire outside contractors to do your work for our carpentry and other things like that. Don't put them inside as city employees. Because the wages probably are better on the outside these days. I have to hire contractors. But anyway.
You're at time.
Can I just make one more comment and finish?
You used up a lot of time introducing yourself.
I'm sorry?
You used a lot of your time in your introduction. You're out of time.
You told me that I had to say where I was from.
Yep. So
Okay.
we'll look for other comments by an email. Thank
Can
you.
people come back again?
You're done.
Can people come back again?
You're done.
Okay. Thank you very much, Council President.
Hello, good evening. My name is Eric Yang. I will live in Ward 7. I have worked for the St. Paul Public Libraries for 22 years now. I'm just here to advocate for the libraries. Obviously, during the pandemic, the libraries became a crucial network for especially those of us who were having the most difficulty providing services at home or any remote learning. And we were hurried back to make sure that we could provide public services to other patrons. A lot of this has brought stress upon library staff. I'm hoping that we can make sure staffing is at adequate levels. I'm sure you've heard of all the stories of safety issues at the library, specifically George Latimer Central Library. Just about the week of Labor Day, Sunray Library, which is the one I work at, actually had to close for 2.5 days because due to illness and lack of staffing. This is something I have never actually remember having ever in my time working for the libraries. And I think with adequate staffing, we probably would have been able to avoid that. I would also like to advocate for at least one more social worker. There is one social worker in the library right now who is currently splitting her time between the Central Library and the Rondo Library because those are the two branches that are needed the most. But there are other libraries that need social workers a social worker, and at least one more would definitely help. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Betsy Hunter. I live in Ward 5. I'm a library associate at the Hamlin Midway Library and a proud member of AFSCME Local 1842. I've had a chance to meet with most of you over the last several months to discuss staffing and safety issues in the libraries, and I thank you for your time in those meetings. While I'm thrilled that $1.5 million from the American Rescue Plan Act will be dedicated to library safety initiatives, we are still currently seeing a rise in disturbing incidents that include colleagues being forcibly touched and kissed by members of the public, indecent exposures, violent outbursts, and threats of violence against staff and other members of the public. In order to try to handle these situations, we desperately need more frontline staff, and we need strong measures to retain the staff we have. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kiana. I live on the east side. I have a little dude named Anakin who just started at Dayton's Bluff, so yay pre-K. I'm here advocating for the library and specifically safety, communication about our safety, and accountability. So we're frontline. The pandemic took us all out. Some people have some real problems. Not everybody got on their feet. Well, when they have real problems, they bring them to us. And those can also be violent. And so it is our responsibility to take care of the public, but also get home to our families. We need transparency from our administration about what is going on about our safety, because we will do the work, but like for real, I'm not trying to get hit at work. You know what I mean? So we need some clarity for sure, because if you expect us to do this, then you need to tell us what's up. You know, we've gotten death threats in the last few days over a story time that's happening, and there has been little to none, absolutely no communication about what we are supposed to do come that day when we have people online telling us they're gonna come here and beat us to death. So that's really fun going into work. I love taking care of my community and I love taking care of people around me, but like, as I've been told many times, it is not my job to worry about my safety. But as a human being, it is my job. So let's just make sure that we all on the same page, because I want to do what's best for everybody, but our leadership is failing us. Our leadership is failing us. So if I don't get to go home to my son at night, that's on them, and that's on y'all. So.
Hi everyone, my name is Kelly Dinsmore and I live in Ward 5, District 10, right here in Como. And I've been here 16 years. I have been an employee of the City of St. Paul for 17. I am a zookeeper out at Como. And I saw that the mayor wanted to raise my property taxes, 15.32%. And you know, you can't do more with less. So I am happy to pay that higher price. If that goes to making sure our frontline workers are funded, if we have staff, frontline staff, not middle managers making $80,000, $90,000 being hired up on top, but our libraries are understaffed, our zookeepers are understaffed. And the other thing I'd like to mention is our infrastructure. We build these exhibits, we build these buildings, and we have no funding to maintain them. And I don't know if you're aware, we have, a 22,000 gallon a day leak in the Bear Deep Pool? And that's a lot of water that's going through. That not only creates a safety issue, where's that water going? And it's been going for years. It's not something that happened yesterday or today, but it is not repaired yet. It is costing us money. It is also a potential safety hazard, but nothing is getting repaired and everything has a Band-Aid on it. And so instead of spending more money building way new things, why don't we focus back, fix the things that we have with the money that we have, pay our frontline employees. And I don't know if you folks are aware of this either, but in the manager's contracts, they can earn a 5% bonus for cost savings. And I don't ever want to see a manager earn a bonus on the backs of not hiring enough staff or making sure that we are not staffed appropriately in the name of saving money. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Lisa Martin. I am the president of AFSCME Technical 1842. I also am a team member at Code Enforcement for over 20 years. I'm going to just address three quick things here, which I'm sure you're going to hear from all of our unions. Wages is a huge deal. We have many of our members that live and work here in St. Paul. With the increase in gas, food, utilities, daycare, our budgets and our salaries aren't even keeping up with inflation. It's hard for them to come to work because they don't have gas to get there. We need to increase wages and look at other options to attract and retain union employees. As Kelly said, not management, union frontline workers is what we need in St. Paul. Many of our departments and staffing levels, as you've heard from many of the other unions and many of our union members, they're short-staffed. There's not enough people in our parks department, our libraries, our fire inspection division, our call centers. Through our water department, public works, we have many of our issues that are all low staffing. We have difficulty retaining these employees because you can go to McDonald's for $18 an hour with a $3,000 sign-on bonus. You can go to other cities making more money that allow city vehicles. They allow more vacation and higher starting salaries. We need to be looking at these if we're going to retain people and hire people. The last is leadership and management. We all have to work together. Like I said, I'm thrilled to be at DSI where we have a new director, Angie Weezy, a new deputy director, David Hoban, and an HR liaison, Odell Brown. This is the best management team DSI has ever seen. I hope that all departments are or will be experiencing great leadership like we do at DSI. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Harry Oda. I live in Summer University neighborhood. I am here on behalf of St. Paul Police because May the 28th, 2020, when they was burning down University and Snelling, I had to go up there with 4 police officers to hold the ground against 300 protesters, jeering them, throwing rocks and bottles. St. Paul Police is one of the lowest paid in the metro. If you have to give your taxes money, please pay them. The morale is down, they low in numbers. Because they are needed for the future to come, especially whatever happened in midterm. The mega Republicans, whatever, they're gonna be happy or mad. And they coming, this is the capital of this state. This city fall, this state fall. God bless y'all.
Oh, you can go.
No, you're there first.
Hello, I'm Program and Facilities Manager over at Frogtown Farm. I've been living in St. Paul for almost 10 years now. Been living in Midway, and I'm about to move into Frogtown. I wanted to show support for the lights on solar reinstallation of the lighting in our park, just to reinsert that security in there in the park. But also, I don't know everything that's in front of you all the time, but I would love to see every one of you take more priority in our houseless population and finding more homes for them instead of prioritizing these big contracting companies that are building the 5-to-1 ratio homes, high-rise apartments that they don't have any tax incentive to fill, so they're usually a quarter or more empty, and they're displacing the problems that could be fixed by putting people in those homes and that are just sitting on the streets sleeping with trying to find somewhere to light a small fire that might be dangerous for other people, but they're just trying to live. And we need to prioritize them, and we need to prioritize food distribution services throughout the cities. And anything that props up for you guys, I would love to see you prioritize that. I don't have much else to say. Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Patty, and I live in South Como. I've lived there for over 40 years, so I've been in your situation for a long time. Is what I'd like to say today is that I appreciate everybody that has somebody to talk about their people that's working, if they're city workers or if they're not city workers. I haven't heard too many of them, but I've been in the food service industry for well over the 40 years that I've lived here in St. Paul. We don't earn a lot of money. We struggle. It is not easy being a food service worker. I started out at the iconic Prom, which I did earn nice money at that time, but since the Prom left and whatnot, I'm earning less than $15 an hour. And in order to pay something that you guys are asking about, where am I going to pay my property taxes? How am I going to afford my mortgage? How am I going to get through? I'm a single worker. Like I said, I live in a house that I dearly love, been there for a very long time. I anticipate on being there till I plan to be 100, you know. And I'm going to just keep going as best as I can. But I hope that you people listen. There's more people out there like me that aren't earning a lot of money, that don't have a voice. I'm sorry that they're not here, but they're probably trying to make ends meet. Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Luke Melky. I live in Hamlin Midway neighborhood. We had a big controversy in my neighborhood over the library renovation this last year. And over again, library management told us, you know, they had to tear down the building because of their concerns over, say, staffing safety and over the needs of the patrons. So I'm asking, where is the concern for library staff safety now in the budget? Where is the concern for the patrons in the budget? You know, we've lost a quarter of the library staff in the last 2 years during COVID. Where are the wage increases that we need to see these jobs filled so we can have good libraries for our patrons, so we can have safety for our library staff? We were told that during the Hamlin Library Renovation Project. This was the priorities. I don't see it now in the budget today. So, thank you.
My name is Jeremy English. I am a Rondo resident who is a homeowner who used to work for the Parks and Recreation Department for 10 years. I am here to support the St. Paul Recovery Act because foundationally it's going to help out black people in the city of St. Paul. That committee will provide a situation for black people to be economically safe, and it'll provide resources for black people in the city of St. Paul. So I'm here to support you guys putting an investment in the St. Paul Recovery Act because it's vital for black people in the city of St. Paul. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Dave Nagan. I'm an ASCII member, 1842. I have been a city employee for 25 years, and I work with the Department of OTC. And I'm here to ask for safe and adequate staffing and wages that keep up with inflation. Thank you very much.
Good evening. Tabitha Mitchell, 1842, Frogtowner, Ward 1. And today I wish I was here talking about all the wins of rec, from how we took care of the most vulnerable folks with food and shelter work, events like Amazing Race and the Youth Pride, but I'm not. I'm here absolutely disgusted that the city of St. Paul as an employer has failed the workers of the library system. What do you want us as a union to do? We have followed every single process. We filed a safety grievance 10 months ago. These city residents have met with you. We have talked to the mayor's office. We have met with HR. We went to labor management. It is ridiculous that I am standing here when we have a safety issue on Saturday. Where is the transparency? I will not allow a few things. One, we are not waiting for January for women to not be assaulted, physically and sexually assaulted on the job. It is not Catherine Pinker's full responsibility. There's an entire management team. It is not the next director's sole responsibility. What has to happen when we file the safety grievance and then there is a woman in the back stacks who is physically and sexually assaulted? What has to happen? Do we have to have someone brutally raped? Do we have to have someone murdered on the job? When is the city of St. Paul going to leave, I'm sorry, 4th floor city annex, 4th floor city council, or city hall annex, city hall, the library building? There is not a Zoom meeting. There is not a locked office. If you do not have adequate safing, you get on the floor. You lead from the front. You lead from the floor. You stand shoulder to shoulder with your workforce while workers are being attacked. So and applaud to the management when we were having issues at parks. At least Andy could take his laptop and sit on the floor at Jimmy Lee, shoulder to shoulder with his workers. When are we going to get that? Catherine is no longer here. I'm not waiting for January, and I'm not waiting for a new director. We need action now for safety.
Thank you, Tabitha. All right. Thank you. And a reminder, we're just, if you have more to share, please do send an email or call your council member or call us all. The 2-minute limit is hard. It's not a lot of time, and I do appreciate that some folks have had to be cut short today. Is there anyone else here who would plan to testify? Great. Come on up.
Good evening, council members. My name is Kari Hillison. I've been a St. Paul resident in Ward 7 for 14 years, a homeowner, and a St. Paul employee at DSI for 6 years with AFSCME Technical Local 1842. The 2023 budget needs to prioritize funding the front lines, as you've heard, but we make all the city services work. We've seen minimal cost of living wage increases while experiencing substantial cost of living expenses. During pandemic, we took on additional work to keep services going during the changing times. At the same time, we've lost colleagues to other municipalities for better pay. We need wage increases to retain current workers and attract new workers to fill the numerous open positions across the city. We all want to provide great public service. When my fellow Eastsiders have to wait almost 1 month for a building permit to get their roofs repaired that were damaged in the storm, we're not providing the service that we should be as the capital city. So we're calling on you for support. Thank you.
Is anyone else here planning or would like to testify before we close our public hearing? Come on up, sir.
Hello, my name is Stephen Nelson. I've been working with foster kids and DHS for 9 or 10 years. And I'm here to represent the foster kids who lost their parents and never get them back and has mental issues. They're being bounced around from different places to different places. But I'm working on trying to get some land. You know, we need some land of our own, you know, so we can have a business, so we can have a place for those kids where they can have a home. No matter what they do, they can have a home, you know, and the academy, we need, you know, you got MnDOT, I call them white MnDOT because I don't see hardly no black MnDOTs, you know, and also it's just too many. We don't have nothing. We need to be trained to be police officers, MnDOT, and all of that stuff. In other words, what I'm saying is I want the black people and native indigenous to have a piece of the pie.
The system's worked pretty well with the kind of the bench system. If you're planning to testify, let's see. Great. All right, come on up.
Hi there, my name is Isaac and I live in Ward 4 and I'm a library associate at the Riverview Library. I don't have much to add to what, I'm also a proud member of AFSCME 1842. Just to be very clear, like in the last year I've received death threats and I've had people pull knives on me before, so I don't get paid enough to deal with that.
Hello, my name is Cindy Coy. I live in Ward 5. I was born and raised there. I work at the George Latimer Central Library. We're really hoping for more staffing numbers so that we don't have to feel alone when there's a patron who comes in and had a really bad day. I am the one who has had a patron forcibly kiss me. I am the patron or the staff member who has seen an erect penis. And that patron came in earlier and he threatened a staff member. He threatened to kill them. For some reason, management decided they were allowed to come back. So when he came back again, he exposed himself to me. So I feel like there were opportunities for management to put their hand, put something down to say, maybe this isn't okay, but for some reason he was allowed to come back. So really, we're really asking you to help us. Like, we don't have the power to keep these people from our doors, and we really need management to say that this behavior is not okay. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name's Thomas Farrell. I work for the St. Paul Fire Department. I live in the Como neighborhood. I've been here 12 years. Thought it'd be...
Well, let's let Mr. Farrell testify.
Coming down here, getting this job, I thought I'd be proud to live in the city where I work. That is changing drastically. The costs are going up. I'm not up here talking about, you've already heard about the fire department, the wages, this and that. I work with the St. Paul Police Department as a SWAT medic. I see all that. I see a lot of bad. I'm not going to talk and go into that. Safety is a concern for me and my family. What I do want to address is the increase in taxes. I think of it in a way where you have all these special projects and we can fund this and we can fund that. Let's just find the money here. We'll just create it here, kind of slough it all off. And I was sitting there looking at a building being built and it said partially financed by the city of St. Paul. And I sat there thinking about that. I'm like, how many fingers do we have in all these things? So when you're creating a budget, like you do this for your family, and any one of you, including the mayor, you create a budget for your family. You want to take a trip to Disneyland, you want to go to the beach. Let's do this. It's going to cost this amount of money. And this is what you're going to pay for this trip right here. But you can't pay rent, right? If you can't pay rent, how can you spend it over here? And if you don't start with the core values of pretty much everyone in here, building that core and keeping it running as a city, how do you expect to do all these special projects, right? And I live here, and I want to stay in St. Paul, but wow, it's getting expensive. It is. And there's people, a young lady said, hey, I'm making this much an hour. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pay for the taxes, right? So that's a big concern. You have the other one, safety and the workers just being worn out. There's just not enough. So you can't spend all this money over here and deny all this here. It doesn't work that way. It never does. It always fails. And the failure that comes with that is very bad. Thank you.
I'm Christine Draybeck, Ward 5. I'm in support of everybody here that's talking about wages and so forth. But as a senior, we too need to be taken into consideration. With limited incomes, 15.3% is ridiculous. Social Security doesn't go up hardly anything, and not every senior citizen can go out and get an additional job. I also want to speak up in we haven't heard that much about crime on the streets and so forth, in the police department and so forth. But the way to reduce crime is to change the hearts of people, because that's where it starts. It starts in the home, it starts in the school, in the community, and so forth, and all that. And we have all of these big programs and so forth, but we need people to feel that they're loved, wanted, and they learn. They need to be listened to. That's the main part, is maybe we just need listening clubs or something like that, so these people who want attention and want to feel loved have a place to go and can be listened to.
Looks like the bench is cleared off. Is there anyone else who still wants to testify? Come on up so we can see how many folks are still waiting in the queue. Thank you.
How you doing, Amy? Last time with the COVID one. Dave Joplin, Public Works, Street Maintenance, 30 years. I'm not here to talk about wages. That can be taken care of in different. I'm here to talk about the facilities over at Public Works. Run equipment, been doing it for a long time. Our equipment sits outside. You guys realize you pay $220,000 a piece for a sweeper, and there's 10 of them sitting over there outside. You can figure out the numbers pretty easy. It takes us probably $250,000 to $300,000 to outfit a snowplow. Buy the chassis, put the box on, put the plow, spinners, lights, somewhere in the $250,000 to $300,000. Our wash rack over there, horrible. Go take a look at it. On one side of the wall, we wash trucks. We wash all the salt off the truck, obviously, try to keep them in shape. They last somewhere in 8 to 12 years. It's on average. Salt eats them, eats your cars, eats our trucks. We wash it right down the drain. On the other side of the wall, we have about $500,000, $750,000 machine that makes salt brine, 23.6%. And we put it on the roads, pre-wet, before it snows, all the rest, and they're 50 feet away. Go and take a look at those facilities.
All right, looks like maybe, just seeing if anyone's moving. Okay. Folks, thank you so much for coming out here to share your thoughts about the budget. As you can hear, sometimes we have conflicting values, sometimes they're in alignment. When you listen to what people's wants and needs are, I know that we are very aware of maintenance concerns, about staffing concerns, about keeping up with inflation, and also trying to keep our taxes down. Starting off our budget, hearing from this group of people has been impactful and important, and so we thank you so much for being here. We're going to close the public hearing today, and then for the next 3 months, we will be in deliberations with each other, with the mayor's office, and working to get to a budget that we can all agree on. And we encourage you to remain engaged in the conversation as we go throughout this process. Tonight is just the beginning. We appreciate how you've helped kick it off, and we'll look forward to engaging with you as we move through the next 3 months. So thank you very much. We're adjourned.